Hey everybody, good to see you. Thank you for joining me today. Today's theme was inspired by a meeting I had with Ram Dass, beloved Ram Dass. And he said that spiritual masters and saints and gurus are just as neurotic as the rest of us, but to them, the neurosis is irrelevant. Now let's kind of unpack that. It's a pretty cool statement. What he's saying is that everybody who's in a human body and a personality is in a package, so to speak. And that package has what we call perfections and imperfections. And he said nobody escapes that, even great spiritual masters. They get angry, they get horny, they get impatient at moments. Now, if you and I experience that, we may tend to judge ourselves and say, oh, I should be more pure, I should be more holy, I should be a better, more spiritual person. What Ram Dass was saying was that we're all spiritual people anyway. And it's just a matter of how much attention you give your neurosis that makes them powerful or not. So I'm suggesting to you that the concept of working on yourself to become a perfect or better person is kind of self-contradictory. It's oxymoronic, if we can call it that. So what if you and I quit working on ourselves and we started accepting and loving ourselves, even with our shtick, even with our neurosis? I had a Chinese friend, his name was Po Chin. I said to him, how you doing, Po Chin? He says, working on myself like everyone. He was very serious. And what would happen to our lives if we declared ourselves enough as we are and quit trying to become something that we're not? In fact, all spiritual enlightenment is about becoming who we already are. The spiritual path is more about undoing than doing. We started out fine, and then we got defined, and now we're getting refined. I don't know if you guys remember the Don Juan series, Castaneda series, Carlos Castaneda. And the disciple asked the guru, does fear ever go away? And the guru said, no, it never really goes away. It sits on your shoulder and whispers in your ear. The question is, how much do you listen to it? Now, I do know a few people, I know two people in my life who said they don't have any fear. I like to believe them. I think that's, if I could do that, that'd be good. I still have fear. Stuff comes up for me. Probably you do too. So the question is, do you keep trying to beat yourself up or beat the fear up or shoot it and make it go away and hate it and hate yourself? Or you say, okay, fear, thank you for sharing, but I don't think I want to do that. Now we can say the same thing about our neuroses. Now, do you want to let the neuroses run your life, or do you want to let them be a sidebar or a subset of your greater self? Now remember, the law of attraction says that whatever you pay attention to, you get more of. And so when you focus in on your magnificent, whole, divine, beautiful, radiant self, that becomes your reality. When you focus on your neurosis, or your upsets, or your iniquities, that becomes your reality. And someone said, if 98% of your life is working, and 2% is not, if you focus 100% of your attention on the 2% that isn't working, then in that moment, in your experience, 100% of your life is not working. You get it? When you focus on a tiny piece of the pie, it blows up in your mind and it consumes your experience. If 98% of your life is not working and 2% is, and you focus 100% of your attention on 2% that is working, in that moment, in your experience, 100% of your life is working. So this is why it's so important where we choose to place our attention. Attention is intention. Fascination is fertilizer. Whatever you're fascinated with grows. Now, the ego, as we said before, is always based on a gap. It's based on the idea that here I am, and there's where I should be, and I have to cross the space. Well, the Spirit says, no, here I am, and here's where I should be. Even with my human shtick. Don't you love that word shtick? It's a Yiddish word. Now, in Japan, they have a really lovely expression. It's called Wabi-sabi. Maybe you've heard it. W-A-B-I-S-A-B-I, Wabi-sabi. And what it means is that there's perfection in the imperfection. That if a vase gets cracked, let's say in Japan, what they will do is they will fill the crack with gold. Instead of trying to glue it or repair it, they will take the imperfection and make it more beautiful. And, you know, perhaps you've seen pictures of these very, very old Tibetan women. They're probably 80, 90, 100 years old, and their faces are filled with wrinkles and cracks. But they're so beautiful. There's a radiance about them that's even more radiant than women have no wrinkles, because there's something inside them that is just gloriously spiritual. And they have character. It's like patina. They have character. So even your weirdnesses, in an odd way, give you character. You know, they make you funny, they make you attractive, they make you kooky, they make you unusual, but it's just part of who you are. Now let me return to something I said at the beginning. The idea of self-help is a kind of oxymoron. It's self-contradictory. Why? Because the self that is trying to help yourself is the self that needs help. Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. So most of the time, when we're trying to help ourselves and do self-improvement, you are using the same mind that created the problem to try to solve the problem, and you just can't do that because the problem was generated, or the issue was generated at a particular level of consciousness. And the entire purpose for that problem is to elevate you to a higher layer of consciousness. So if you're trying to solve it from the same level, it's just going to go in circles. And this is why you lay in bed and think, and when you go to various therapists and keep going to various therapists, because the self that's trying to solve the problem is a self that is the problem. Interesting, isn't it? The Course in Miracles says it this way. I love it. It says, you cannot be your own guide to miracles because it was you who made them necessary. The Course has kind of a tongue-in-cheek sense of humor, doesn't it? You cannot be your own guide to miracles because it was you who made them necessary. So the self that made the miracle necessary, if you get yourself in a jam, a relationship jam, a financial jam, or a physical jam, you can't get yourself out of it being the same you that got yourself into it. You get it? And so what you have to do is you have to call on a higher self. So this is where self-help with a small s gets replaced self-help with a big S. You get it? You have a higher self than the one that's trying to help yourself. It's the same analogy as putting the fox in charge of the hen house. You're putting the problem in charge of the solution when the problem is the problem. But the good news is we have a big S self, a God self, a divine self, a whole self, a holy self. And this is why real good religions or real good spiritual movements are not about becoming something, but allowing and accepting something. I'm a student of Yogananda for many years, as a lot of you are. He wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, a great spiritual classic. And his organization was called the Self-Realization Fellowship with a capital S. Self-realization is different than self-improvement. You understand? He was asking us to pull the layers, peel the onion skins away of the illusions that mask our true self, to reveal our true self with a capital S. The onion skins are the little s selves, but there's a golden center that is our real self with a capital S, and that's what we're going for. I have some friends, Ariel and Shaya Kane, and they wrote a book called Working on Yourself Doesn't Work. Working on yourself doesn't work. And so, I don't know how old you are, 20, 40, 50, 60, 80, but wouldn't it be wonderful if at this age you quit working on yourself? Now, you may say, well, if I don't work on myself, I'm going to continue my problems. I need to do my spiritual practice. Yes, you do. Spiritual practices are good, but only if they reveal your true self. If you're trying to fix something that's broken, they're not good. Because anything you do from a false premise, any act you take from a lie, only perpetuates that lie. So if you think there's something wrong with me and I need to fix it, everything you need to do to fix it, everything you do to fix it, will only reinforce the need to be fixed. Am I making sense here? Some of you getting this? I think you are. So the lie is, I'm broken, I'm empty, I'm needy, I need to fix myself, I'm not attractive, I'm not worthy as I am. Anything you do based on that premise will backfire because it's based on a lie, it's based on illusion. You cannot get truth from illusion. There's no bridge from illusion to truth. If you're in illusion, you're stuck in illusion. If you're in truth, you're in truth. Now, there actually is a bridge. When you start thinking true thoughts, then you make a bridge from illusion to truth. But when you think illusory thoughts, erroneous thoughts, there's no bridge. So the real thought to think is, I'm an amazing, attractive, radiant, wealthy, brilliant, dynamic, magnificent whole person. And from that wholeness, I express into life. Yeah, I got some stuff going on. Yeah, I worry about this. Yeah, that relationship. So I've been divorced 3 times. So what? That becomes a subset. Remember in 8th grade geometry, you talk about sets and subsets. The big set is I am divinity expressing in light. The subset is I got this stuff going on with my personality. Yeah, my knee hurts, but I'm not going to wait until it gets better before I'm going to express my divine self. In fact, when you accept your divine self and express it even while your knee is hurting, I bet you the knee will stop hurting. Years ago, I was doing some gardening, and I twisted my ankle. It was pretty painful. And I went in my house and thought, okay, am I going to sit here and worry about the ankle or try to get it fixed or focus on the pain? I said, no, I'm just going to let it be. If it needs to be painful, it'll be painful. If it stops, it stops. I will just let it be. I will just let myself be. And you know, that pain went away really quickly. And I was back gardening, in an hour or so. It was amazing. I don't know if you remember, there's a Donovan song, life is beautiful if you just let yourself be. Life is like a little boat upon the sea. Just let yourself be. So the question is, which self do you let be? Now you can say, well, my psychologist said I should let my anger be. Well, yeah, let your anger be. That's fine. But don't let it run your life. There's a higher self that wants to run your life, of which anger is an upside. This is kind of a radical idea, isn't it? Because I'm telling you to quit fixing yourself and start being yourself. And if you get upset, great. If you get horny, great. If you get tired, great. If you get stingy, great. Let let that stuff be. And remember, now I need to tell you, that I have been on the self-improvement circuit for many years. I've been called a self-help author. You know, when they used to have bookstores, I used to go into the bookstores, and my books would be in the self-help section. Well, I wouldn't be in that section now. I'd be in the self-realization section now. And I do know most of the spiritual giants on the planet. I work with them closely, and I've taught with them, and I've been at seminars with them. I know people, I should say most, but there's a lot. I've been with a lot of people who are highly revered as great spiritual masters and even saints. And I need to tell you that every single one of them has little human foibles. I've never met a person who is completely perfect in terms of personality. They have little stuff, little ego things that come up once in a while. So what? The truth is that a lot of them are still great spiritual masters, but they don't get hung up in trying to fix their little so-whats. Now, some of them have big so-whats that need to be fixed. I mean, some people are out of integrity, or they have major issues that need to be handled. They should be handled. But for the most part, people who are great also have some elements of ungreatness. So what? That's the big mantra. So what? So I got angry, so I got upset, so I got lazy, so I got stingy. So what? Are you going to focus on that and recreate it? Or are you going to focus on your generous? I mean, if you think you're stingy, what about you as generous? If you think you're selfish, what about you as selfless? If you think you're unattractive, what about you as attractive? So what we're looking for, dear friends, is a paradigm shift. We're shifting figure and ground. You know, if you watch a movie, sometimes the camera will be focused on one character in the foreground, and someone will walk into the room in the background, and the foreground will become blurry, and the background will become clear. So what I'm suggesting now is you've been focusing on the foreground of your neurosis or your fears or your iniquities, and in the background there's someone walking in the door that is golden and holy and angelic and magnificent and perfect, your true self with a capital S. And what if the camera shifted the focus from the clear iniquity self, and that became blurry, just an afterthought, and the camera started focusing in on that golden Buddha, that golden self. So your neuroses, your problems are an afterthought. But there's another thought with a capital T that we want to focus on. That's what I do. I'm not a perfect person. I have shtick, I have neuroses, I have stuff that bugs me. But you know what? I don't care about it so much anymore. I do my practice, I do my meditation. I pray to be a good person. I pray to be the best I can be. I'm getting better in some ways. But in other ways, I don't need to get better because who God created me as is perfect. And it's that perfect self I'm learning to get to know. So today I make an introduction. I introduce you to your divine self, which I know and love and define as your true self. Shall we get on with our day? Shall we get on with our life? Shall we get on with our magnificent foldment of the flower that we are? And release the aroma, that divine aroma that God created us to emanate to all of life. That's what we're all about. I hope this message was helpful to you. It's always a blessing to be with you. Thank you for being with me. I do want to remind you that we have my coaching room on Thursdays. Every day I do free live coaching. We don't do interactive in this particular program, but on Thursdays we do. So go to my website, alancohen.com, and look for the coaching room. And then we are gearing up for my life coach training, which starts in September. If you'd like to be a professional certified life coach with a holistic foundation, this is a magnificent program. It's almost full, but we can squeeze 1 or 2 more people in. So if you'd like to train with me for 6 months and become an amazing holistic life coach, make a living at it, do it for fun and joy, whatever you like, I will support you to become a magnificent coach that draws forth the magnificence of everyone you touch, which I know you're doing in a lot of ways already, but we're going to really take it to a whole new level. So thanks for joining me today. I sure love you immensely, and we will see you next week bright and early on Wednesday. Take care. Love you. Aloha.